had a website, but it was almost like a vanity project back then. Now it is like an entrance fee to have a business.
Good. Hey, I wanted to let you know that the Google guarantee, the Google ads, man, I'm getting 12 to 16 calls a week.
My goal is at least do 10 to 15 more years, grow it up, sell it for 40, 50 million, maybe more.
Hello, I'm Sam, and you're listening to Titan Talks, Topline Pro's podcast where we highlight the businesses and stories of home service pros. This episode, we're joined by Kevin Stallman. Kevin runs Stallman Drywall and Painting in Morris, Minnesota. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
How did you get started in the business? Where did Stallman Drywall and Painting come from?
Yeah, that's a great way to start. We first started the business approximately 6-7 years ago. But really got me into drywall was my dad. We were dairy farmers out in western Minnesota, so we did a little bit of remodeling here and there to help out with the payroll, if you will. And never drywalled ever in my life. And we were doing a little remodel, and my dad was like, "Hey, you're going to learn how to tape and finish and how to paint." And he went to a local hardware store. He bought a Bob Vila video on VHS, if you can remember those, right? I watched the VHS video, and that was the training I got. And ever since then, I just took to it. I spent about 20 years in the manufacturing sector for a local company here in Morris. Served from a welder, supervisor. At one point in time, I was running a shop there. And so I knew at some point in my life I wanted to move on. And so one day we just decided to start our own drywall business and make it full time. So it took a little bit of coaching and moving me along the way. But that's kind of how we started.
And who is we in this context?
So I'll probably refer to we quite a bit. I would say we is my wife, Amy. She is like the backbone of our company. She works full time as a payroll coordinator for another company in town here. But she does all of our technical work from payroll to accounts receivable, payable, a lot of the out of picture stuff of our business. And then we have 3 sons, Gavin, Grady, and Gunner. They're anywhere from 15 to 20, and they're all involved in one way, shape, or form throughout the day, week, year. They're integral parts of our business. And so I think anybody who owns a business and has a family relies heavily on everybody, because it takes a family to make a business run. So
That's one of the things that I think I've been most impressed with as I've started doing more of these episodes is how many the ability for married couples to work together and run a business together is pretty astounding. I mean, would you have expected that you'd be able to work so well with your wife in running something like this before it happened?
So, no, really.
Wow.
We first kind of started and we fumbled along like any new business owner would, and you kind of learn the ropes. But I would say because of our faith, that really keeps us grounded, keeps us together, keeps us connected, and that we rely so heavy on each other's strengths and we understand each other's weaknesses. That we kind of complement each other that way, and so we have our surprises, the things that crop up and that we have to work through together, as we all can be, whether you're in the trades or you're working in an office. Our schedules all can be overloaded, and we just have to work with each other and balance out our day and our months and years as they go. So I guess that's my thought on that anyway.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I guess just moving forward a little bit to, today, what is business like today? How far are you booking out? How many employees? What does Stallman Drywall and Painting look like?
Yeah, so we, as far as booked out, we probably have 5 months worth of work on the docket here, and we
Wow.
continually take on more. I like that question in terms of it gives folks a scope of like what we have for stability in the current pocket of the calendar, right? How we approach that with our customers and new clientele or existing clientele is we always make room. We always figure it out. We get creative. If that means bringing on more people internally, that's what we'll do. If that means we need to involve some of our subcontractors and gust into a busier season than what we had anticipated, I think we do well with that. Our ability to flex out and in as customer demand increases and decreases. I feel like I don't think we're special that way, but I feel like we're gifted in the sense of having the ability to gust up and get a lot of work done in a short order of time based off of customer demand, and then also fall back when things do slow down.
So I mean, it occurs to me that there are a lot of painting businesses out there, and not all of them make it and are as successful as yours. What do you think makes you special compared to, you know, some of the ones that don't make it to where you are?
Yeah, so I don't I appreciate that. I mean, I don't think we're special. Like I tell people when I get asked that question, I just think you get up every morning and you put your boots on and you work hard. I really believe that is not a secret. It can be hard to do for some. It can be hard to do for anybody. But I think you get up every day, you have a positive attitude, you work really hard, you put your time in, and then you surround yourself with the best people you can find, and you get them on your team. You show them appreciation. You show them you care about them. You invest into them. You train them. You get them the right tools. And so I really don't think there's a secret sauce, so to speak. But for me, it's like I think you'll find with our company, if people were to come through our shop and through our job sites, they would see that our culture is different than maybe standard. We get it from our customers all the time, how professional we are. We come in, we say hi, we build a relationship with our clientele, and we grow that so that the next job is there for us. And hopefully they tell the neighbor down the street about us. And so I don't know that we're doing anything special. I think we work really hard. We treat each other like we'd like to be treated. And honestly, I think if it is a secret, I think that's what it takes to make a small business grow and operate.
Yeah, I think that's I like that answer a lot. And you seem, just as a person, very calm and very reliable. And I think that your answer of like, you just get up and work every day kind of matches that. And it makes a lot of sense to me. You're talking about, booking out 5 months, which is awesome. And word of mouth. Are you doing any marketing other than just relying on word of mouth to make sure that these jobs are booking?
It's a great way to point out Topline Pro and how they've helped the entire team there. One of the first conversations I had with Abby and the team was, I am not a marketing guy. Outside of making a t-shirt with our logo on it, that is the skill set that I did not get. So again, we surround ourselves with a really good team, and through Topline Pro, they just get after it. And so prior to Topline Pro, we put a yard sign out here and there, advertise on Facebook. Word of mouth in a small community like we have here is probably the most powerful source of marketing, in my opinion. Doing good work is probably one of the best sources of marketing. But when we partnered with Topline, that basically the roof blew off. I didn't even understand the potential that our business had. Once you basically take your business and you put it out online, give your customers a platform to put in their information, share us what they have that they need help with, whether it's popcorn removal to taping a whole new house or remodeling a hospital. That platform has springboarded us into business that we never thought we'd ever have or ever see.
You mentioned remodeling a hospital. Are there other big or especially memorable jobs that you could highlight for me just to get a sense of like what kind of stuff you're doing?
Yeah. So, I think about that question and I'm like, there's a lot of memorable ones out there. I think the best jobs are the ones where you develop a good relationship with your customer. The type of relationships when you see them at the grocery store and they're like, "Hey, Kevin, the house looks great," or "Hey, Kevin, you painted some new cabinets for us. They just look fantastic." And so we do all sorts of different buildings, right? So from residential to commercial, we've done churches, like I said, hospitals. We do a lot of residential, law office. We're in so many places and we see so many people. And so I think every experience is great. There's a few that stand out, but really, I really believe that all of them are great experiences, whether we have, okay, here's an example. So we live in a college town, right? And so you'll get a college kid that'll call up and he's like, "Oh man, we were wrestling around and I threw my knee through the wall. What am I going to do?" Right. And we're like, "Hey man, we got you covered. We can come there tomorrow, get the hole patched in, and we'll take care of you." And they're so thankful. That's a maybe not a great example, but it does happen, right?
I'm sure you saved a lot of security deposits out there from
yeah, I'd like to think so. Yeah.
That's cool. How about are you comfortable sharing like sometimes I ask like for a horror story, maybe like I'll frame it more like a learning experience. Like has there been something that you feel like didn't go the way that you wanted it to and it'll never happen again type of job?
Yeah, so there's a lot of horror stories, or I call them learning opportunities, right?
Okay,
With the
we're on
team.
the same page.
Because our industry is so focused on our skill set and our art, I'll call it, especially with drywall finishing side as well as the painting. You have to get it right. There's such a drive to that. You can make a job look beautiful and you can very easily mess it up. So when we first started, we were looking for work, right? And a customer called and they're like, "Hey, we want this smooth finish on a hallway, just a tiny little law office here in town." And I'd like to say that I knew everything about drywall back then, but I certainly did not. And it was not the smoothest coat. It was not the smoothest finish. Luckily, I partnered with, some mentors of mine. They coached me through it. And although it was not the best looking job starting out with, but we made it right with the customer. We're able to get the walls to look smooth. We ended up with a level 5 finish and we made it right. And they are horror stories, but really if you embrace it as a learning opportunity, and you look through the lens that way, I think you can make any bad job good as long as you got good people on your team and a customer understands that we are human and some things just aren't perfect.
Yeah, and make it right. Like own up to the mistake, learn from it. I feel like painting especially is it's a product that lends itself very well to like the visuals. You said the best marketing you can do is just doing a good job. Could you speak to the importance of showing the good job that you've done with, pictures and videos? You have some really nice professional looking photos on your website. Like how do you make sure that you're capturing your work in the best way and making sure that it gets seen by people who are looking for your business?
So I guess prior to Topline Pro, right?
Yeah.
I would use pictures. Again, not a photographer either, as well as a marketer. We would take pictures, we'd put them on Facebook or any picture you take. It's hard to see those details.
Yeah.
I think, and so we would just tell people the work we've done, like, hey, go down on 4th Street, take a look at that house we repainted last week. Or if you're doing a new home, have customers come in that might be interested in using Stallman Drywall. They can see our work. It's really hard to illustrate the quality through just a picture. And so we kind of struggled with that. And so customers really put a lot of trust into us, like, hey, we've heard they do good work. We might not have seen it, but word of mouth through credible customers allowed us to get into a lot of these homes and businesses. But then Topline Pro came along, and your ability to take those images, videos, put them on the web, allow our customers to physically see from their desk or even their cell phone of the work we do. It just springboarded everything. The way you were able to market things, the way you were able to provide an explanation of what we do, it changed everything. It really did. So pictures and videos are great, but again, if you don't have the right people on your team, it's very, very difficult to market in the drywall and painting industry.
And that's something that I hear over and over again from people, is the importance of keeping good people around. And how many employees do you have now? Or is it seasonal?
So right now we currently employ 10 people.
Okay.
We included my wife and my 3 sons who go to school during the year. We'd probably have about 13. We work directly with a handful of subcontractors that would do the same amount of work that we do, and then we build relationships with them. So we do span a large number of people. We vet those people daily. We have company talks every morning. We discuss safety, quality, production rates. We discuss schedule every single day. We discuss our culture every single day. And I think by doing that repetitiously, you create a standard and expectation of your employees that they understand that they're not just working for the painting company down the street. They're working for something that is growing. It's a part of something bigger. And I think when your employees and your subcontractors feel that, they're excited to do good work. They're not just coming in and slapping paint on the wall and sending an invoice, right? The pride that they take into their work, I think, is so much greater when they feel appreciated and know that they're part of something bigger.
That's really an interesting answer. And that, imagining those team meetings happening every morning, it must be happening pretty early, right? If everyone's going to be leaving for a day full of painting.
Yep. Yeah. Every morning, my wife and I, we get up about 4:30. We spend a little bit of time together. We talk a little bit about our day. She'll ask me what the schedule is. She'll ask about employee relations, how things are going. If there's anything that needs to be addressed, we'll discuss it. I'll look to her for advice from a nurturing perspective. And then after that, we hit the road 6 o'clock in the morning. The guys are all there, sometimes 7, depending on season course. And we go right into that. I think it's worth the half hour spent with our employees to give them clear direction and expectations. And so, yeah, we're on the road every morning by 7:30 and heading to homes and businesses and whatever it might be. Yeah.
I wonder, just knowing Minnesota has kind of famously tough winters, does it take a chunk out of your business, or is it not a problem with doing plenty of indoor work?
Yeah. In fact, today, Sam, we have quite a bit of snow, and there's 50-mile winds outside. And so, yeah, it's snowing and blowing out there right now, man. So as of today, you sit at your desk, you look at the weather, you talk to, in a small community, you call up one of your buddies that drives a snowplow, right? And you're like, hey, how are the roads out there, man? And he's like, hey, you need to send your guys home. And so safety first, right? We just don't put people out on the road or into people's homes for their own well-being. So it does affect our business, but I think we make up for it on the back end. You know, we'll work some Saturdays. We'll come in early, or we might stay late the next day. We try to stay on schedule, even though this Minnesota weather can be unpredictable at times. So I don't know if that answers your questions, but
Yeah.
we roll with the punches when old man winter comes a knocking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, talk about getting up early. The snowplow people are probably out there all night, making sure that the kids can get to school, which always used to frustrate me. I wish that they wouldn't plow so effectively, so that maybe I could have a break from school. But we don't have it quite the way you do here in Boston. But we're hoping for, actually, we might be getting a big snow tonight, so we'll
Okay.
see. So looking towards the future, you said it's been what, like 6 years in business?
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, right around 6-7. Yeah.
I mean, what do you think for the next like 5 or 10 years? Are you looking to grow the business? Are you looking to sort of maintain where it is now? What's the plan for Stallman Drywall and Painting?
Right. So I think I think you can look at your business and try to predict what the market's going to hold. I think you can look at your demographic and go, okay, what's the building season look like? What's home builders' plans? I would say Stallman Drywall is always in growth mode. If we ever come out of that mode, I feel like if you're not growing, you'll probably end up shrinking. I think trying to operate a business with a plateau mindset, I feel like there's a lot of risks there. And so it's hard work to grow. It's very hard work. But I think with the growth mindset, if you have the capacity to do that, and again, I know I sound like a whatever you call it, a gong that sounds over and over again. But like, I just think if you got the right people on your team and they got the same mindset as you, it's like, let's grow this thing out. You know, we first started the business, it was just me, and we never thought we'd be up to 10 employees if you had asked me that 5-6 years ago. But looking forward, as far as projections, man, I think it's very feasible for us to take on a bigger market. I think it's possible for us to get down in the metro, the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, be more competitive in those regions, up in the Fargo, North Dakota area. I think we could be a big player up there. So to answer your question, I think growth, I think it has to be inevitable. In my mind, I think it's the best way to operate a business.
Can you picture a future where the business grows to the point where you personally are not involved with like each, job so much, and you're more of like removed and overseeing? I know that's like somewhat what you already do, but the bigger you get, the harder it is to, you're not going to be seeing every customer in the grocery store at a certain point, right?
Yeah. That's one of the toughest questions as an owner. It's letting go, right? So it's tough, right? There was a day where, I ran all the tools, I overseen the job site, from mixing the mud to putting it on the wall. I was that guy. And so, over the course of the growth period that we've seen, I've had to humbly step away from those things and put trust into the guys and the painters to just take on jobs. And so as I think about growth and what that means for me personally, it's very difficult to step away from some of those operational functions that I really like to do and I get a lot of enjoyment of. But I understand that's important to move that into someone else's hands so I can continue to focus on big picture and growth. So I think it's like an evolution, like something you kind of grow into. And when the time is right, you let this thing go. And when the time is right, you let that thing go. And when you got the right person to take on that piece of your business and you trust them, You know that they're going to make mistakes, but you know that their heart is in the right spot with that part of your business. You let it go. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's probably the toughest part for me is to let go of those responsibilities that I care about and I just really like to do.
My boss sent me an article that was kind of the same concept. It was referring to like sort of delegating those responsibilities as your role grows. It called it like giving away your Legos, like because it's
Yeah.
like you really grow to love those responsibilities that are yours and you have ownership over them. And then it's like at a certain rate you're growing, 6 months from now, you have to be able to take those, sort of bestow them on someone else. Whoops, hit the microphone. Uh and you grow to take on new ones, and it's a never-ending cycle, I guess.
Yeah.
So I want to know, um sort of from your view of 6 years in, what advice would you have to other business owners? Maybe thinking about the person who's running a painting business who's in like year one or year two, maybe not booking out the way you are. Like, what piece of advice would you distill to give that person?
Yeah. There's a lot of it. And advice is free, right? So, um, I guess the best advice I'd have is don't forget who you are. Don't forget why you started the business to begin with. You know, remember what drives you. That needs to get you out of bed every morning. And if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And so I think a lot of people that start their own business and they feel success, they might have some financial growth and gain. There's a potential very easily for folks to maybe focus on something different with the newfound wealth or newfound success, right? So my best advice is like, don't forget who you are, stay humble, work hard, and again, just surround yourself with a boatload of good people in your life, whether it's friends, family, your employees that drive that business. If you do that, you'll find success around every single corner. Don't get caught up in the minutia. There's a problem everywhere in your business. Don't get frustrated with it. Look at it as an opportunity for growth. Dig into those problems. Be the guy, gal, be the person who's a problem solver in your business. And I think anyone with that advice will be very successful.
I feel like you could write a book with all that, like a self-help. It's all very good advice, I think, like inside and outside of the business world. So yeah, I mean, there you have it. That's Kevin Stallman from Stallman Painting, Stallman Drywall and Painting, Morris, Minnesota. It's been great talking to you. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sam. It was great talking with you too.